Search engine. We can create different types of search engines. So when we're creating them, we're going to see there's an option here. It tells us to select the type of search engine we want. And we can select free, tree, profiles, list, simple selection, prefix, and date. These are different types of search engines. For example, a free search engine allows me to type in some text and search. The tree search engine will allow me to display all the options in a tree view, where I can select one of the options and search by using this tree. This is useful when we've got quite a few options and categories. Then there's profile list that allow me to select a profile. Simple selection that allow me to filter in an option list. So I have a drop-down list similar to this one here. I select one of the options and it's going to filter based on the option I've selected. Then there's a prefix option that allows me to select in prefixes, and a date option that allows me to filter by date. Now, once we've selected the type of search engine, over here, we're going to have to select the destination page. So it's very important to create a destination page to display the result of my search engine. So when I type in some text and I try to search something, I need to see a grid with all the possible results. So we're going to learn how to do this in the platform. We're going to enter structure. We're going to pages. And we're going to open this existing page we were already configuring. And here we have a few spaces. I've actually set up a space here. It's called search engine. And in this page, I'm going to add a search engine. I'm going to click on preview just so we can see what we have right now. So here we have a couple empty blank spaces. Here we have another yellow space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these colors. So I'm going to change this to blue. And I'm going to change this other one to red. There we go. Now I'm going to update and we can very clearly see these spaces. I'm going to add a search engine in this red space here. Now, how do I do that? I'm going to go to this space and I'm going to click here on search engine. And I'm going to create a new search engine. So I can click here on the magnifying glass. I can select or create a new search engine. I'll give it a name, for example, demo search engine. Okay, the type, it's going to be a free search engine. And here I have to select the destination page. Although I don't really have any created, so I need to create a new page to select it here, because when I click here, none of these are valid. I can't really use any of these. So since I can't create a new one from here, I'm going back to the previous page, or better yet, I'm going to go to structure. I'll do it from scratch. I'll go to pages. Now we're going to click here on create. I'm going to create a new one. It's going to be called demo search engine page. Okay, so this is the name of my new page. I'll hit continue. And now all I'm going to do is change the size here. And I'm going to give it a color, for example, this color red. I know this doesn't make much sense. All I want to do is create a page. And once I have it created, I want to link it here in my search engine. So here we needed to select the destination page. I didn't have any created yet. I only have 11, but now when I click proceed, I'm going to see the new one. There we can see now I have 12. And I can select this new one I just created, demo search engine page. So I'll select it and I'll click continue. And I can continue with the configuration, but I'm going to leave it as it is. And later we'll come back here. So I'll save and exit. I can see my search engine is selected in this publishing space. And I'm going to update the results so we can see what's happened. Here we can see we've got a field where I can type in some text. Doesn't look very good because the background color is quite ugly. Here I've got this image that's not really displaying anything. And if I type some text here, for example, FRO, and I click here, it's just taking me to this random red page or pinkish red page. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to modify this so it actually works properly. First thing I want to do is style this a little bit. So I'm going to enter the space. I'm going to take off the red color. I'm going to give it a bit of a margin at the top. So I'm going to say I want this to be displayed 20 pixels from the top. And I'm going to enter its configuration. And I'm going to say, okay, the size is okay. All of this is okay. I'm going to add a title. So it's going to say search. I'm going to select this text and I'm going to say I want the font to be Roboto medium, and I want it to be grayish color. And the size, I want it to be 11. I'll save and exit. Okay, so I already have the style of the title, but I want the title position to be at the top. And here I have different options to add as a search option. So as a search button. So I could select an image, or I could just select an eye or a magnifying glass for a button. I'm going to leave a magnifying glass. And I'm going to do one more thing here where it says add fields. I'm going to indicate what fields I want to be able to search in. So each one of my elements have different fields. Well, they all have the same fields, but they have different values. For example, I have the field name, I have the description field, I have lots of different fields. When I click here and add fields, it's going to show me all the compatible fields. And in this case, I want to filter by name, but I also want to filter by description. So whenever someone inputs a value in the search engine, and the system is going to use that value, and it's going to search for that value in these two fields. We can add as many fields as we want. If we don't add any, it's always going to filter by name by default. Okay, so I'm going to save and exit. We've already made these small modifications of style, and we've finished configuring the search engine. Well, we haven't finished, but at least this first layer, this first step is already configured. So we can see here it says search. Here I can type in some text. When I click here, it should take me to the page with all the results. But we know we need to configure this page in order for it to show me the results. We haven't done that yet. So that's something we still have pending. Here we can see the search option. It's already got in the format of the text that I wanted, but previously I couldn't really see the correct format. And this happens sometimes because either we need to empty the cache or we need to open our options in our browser, because sometimes our browser stores cookies or it stores images and files. This way it makes it quicker to load. So if this ever happens, if I'm configuring something and, for example, the font here is not displayed correctly, or an image is not appearing or something like that, we can always make sure to empty this and click here on clear data. And another thing we can do is enter the configuration of the page and make sure we clear the cache if we have it activated. I don't recommend you to activate it because this requires you to empty it each time you make a modification in the page. But if you do have it activated, remember to clear the cache every time you make a modification. So this, obviously, if I activate it, the website would go much faster, but I'm not going to do it because I'm still configuring things, and I'm not interested in activating this option until everything is already configured. So for performance reasons, I'd always want to activate this once I've finished configuring my page. Okay, so we said this first layer here is configured. We have the title, we have the space where we can type in some text, we have the magnifying glass. Besides, we've centered it a little bit so it wasn't appearing there at the top. But still, when I search for something, it's just displaying this red page, but we don't want this. So I'm going back to the configuration here. And we're going to modify the destination page. I'm going to click here. Well, actually, we're going to leave the destination page here. What we're going to do is we're going to pages and we're going to modify it from here. So I'm going to search engine page. This is the new search engine page with this red color we had. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to import the configuration of another page. This way I don't have to create this from scratch. So I already have this page here. It's called demo. I'm going to copy it by clicking here on import view and selecting it. Obviously it tells me, watch out, we're going to delete whatever we have here and we're not going to be able to recover it. So we say, yes, we do want to import. And now it imported all the configuration of my home page to this search engine page. And we're going to do a couple modifications because when I click here, I'm just going to save and exit. I'm going back to the home page, and we can see if I try to search something here, it's looking for the results, but we don't have any difference between this page here and the main page. So it almost looks like we're in the same page, but actually they're two different pages. Now, I'm going to make a couple modifications. First of all, in the main page, I'm going to take off a prefilter that's not allowing me to see all the elements here in this list. So I'm going here to the main page. Okay, we're going to call this one home. So I'm going to call it demo home. I'm going to save, and I'm going to this space here. I'm going to change it to another color. For example, I'm going to change it to color orange. I'll save and exit. And now when I go back to this page, you can see the home page is orange. But when I type something in here, for example, Frozen, it takes me to the search engine page, well, the result of the search engine, which is blue. Okay, so now I can see the difference between one page and the other page, because this one is blue and the previous one, the home page, is red. Okay, but still I'm going to add a few more changes. First of all, we said we are going to take off the filter because here we're not seeing all the elements. So I'm going to the home page and I'm going to the element list. And I'm going to delete this profile. I'm going to take it off. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to unlink it here. I'll save. And besides, I'm going to the element list and I'm going to add a title here. For example, home, all the movies. Now I'm going to select it. I'm going to change the font, the size, color. Okay, maybe a bit bigger here. Okay, I'll save and exit. And now let's see what's happened. We have our modifications done here. I'm going to update. We can see now the title is going to appear up here. And besides, we're seeing all of the movies. Remember what I mentioned earlier. If the format is not updated, we can always empty the cache. We can try to update or exit our tabs and then come back in, and the styles would be applied. Okay, so if this ever happens, just take that into account. Okay, so here we know we're in home, in the page where we can see all the movies because I took my filter off. Okay, now when I search and I put here Frozen, for example, it takes me to the second page, but still here I'm seeing home, all the movies, and this isn't true because it's actually showing me only one unique movie, or the movies that meet this condition. And I don't want this to happen. Okay, so I'm going back to the home page, and if I change this, it's actually going to be changed in both pages. It's going to be changed here in the home page, and it's also going to be changed here because this element list, it's the same element list in this page and in the home page. So what do we have to do? We have to go to the search engine page, and here where it says element list, I have to stop using this one here because this is the one I'm using in the home page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. I click copy, I select demo element list, so that now I've copied it, and instead of calling it demo element list, I'm going to call it demo search engine result. And this is a copy. So basically everything is exactly the same. Even the title of the list. So I'm going to change it, and I'm going to put here search engine result. I'm going to save and exit. And now that I made this small modification here in the new element list, well, we've actually copied it. We didn't have to create it from scratch. We already had one. So we copied it, and all we did is change the title. So here we're going to see the result. When I search something here, this hasn't applied yet. Let me update. Okay, now let me try again. So I'm going to search here. No, not yet. 1 second. The problem here is when I changed the page, this one that's called home should be displaying demo element list. And the other one, the search engine, this one here, should be opening the other element list. I didn't select it here, so I'm going to select it now. And it would be this one, demo search engine result. Okay, now that I've changed it, it should be working. So let's see the result. There we go. So let's go back to the home page. We have our page with all the movies. If I try to filter something here, for example, this text here, we can see all the results are being displayed here in the result page. Besides, in the result page, we had to change this list. So we're not sharing the same list. We're actually using two different lists. They're quite similar because one of them is a copy of the previous one. So we didn't have to configure all of this again. All we had to do is change the title here. Okay, so that's enough. Now, we already know how to configure a search engine. We have to make sure when we're creating these pages that all of them are published. So if I go here to pages and I see that one of them is not published, this could give me problems. So if one of them is not published, maybe I couldn't be able to access that content. Or for example, if I'm in a home page here and this one here, and maybe if I go to general and I can see the authentication is not required, but then in one of the other pages it says authentication required yes, that would be a problem, because when I jump from one page to another one, the system would ask me for my credentials. So we have to make sure not to have this option marked if we don't want it. If we want it marked, we're probably going to want it across all the different pages that we're using, and we also want all of them to be published. Okay, that's just a small detail to take into account when we're working with lots of pages. Now we're working with two pages. So we have this home page and we have the search engine page. It's this one here. Now what happens if I don't find any results? Let me type in something here and search. And here I'm not seeing any results. I can always go to the search engine page and I can click here on the element list, enter the configuration. And here, not only can I add a title, but I could also add a message when the list is empty. So I could say, well, if it's empty, I want it to say something like this, no movies found. I'll give it a different text, maybe red, a different font. Maybe I want it to be centered. Okay, I'll save and exit. And here we're going to see the result. It says no movies found. Okay. So right now I can't jump back to the home page because I haven't configured that yet. But anyways, if we leave this empty and we hit the magnifying glass, it's just going to take us to the home page. If I type something in and I click on the magnifying glass, it's going to take me to the search result. Well, it's always taking me to the search result, even though I have it empty. Okay. So we probably want to add a button to go back to the home page, but I'm not going to stop there because I just want to configure the search engine. So we already know how to create these pages and link them thanks to the search engine. I'm going to create I'm going to create a couple additional pages, and then we're going to see how to link them together with a button panel. So in order to do that, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a button panel. I could actually add it here, or I could add it here to the home page. Now, in the home page, let's say I go to the layout view, I click here on button panel home, and I select button panel and I start configuring a new button panel. For example, I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call it demo button panel. I'll click continue, and I'm going to add two buttons. Animation. And now I'm going to add another button, action. Okay, so here we have our two buttons created, animation and action. Usually what I do is I'd link these two buttons with two pages, because when we enter the configuration, here it says, do you want to link it to a page? And I select the page. We're not going to do that yet. For now, I'm just going to create the two buttons. I'm going to select a style here, an existing style. I'm not really going to bother to create new styles. And I'm going to save and exit. Okay, so now I have my new button panel configured in the home page. If I click on preview, I can see the result up here. I've got one button and another one here. Okay, if I don't like them, I can always format them. I can change the styles and so on. We're not going to bother to do that right now. All we want to do is link these two buttons with two different pages. So what I'm going to do, first of all, before creating new pages, I want to make sure the search engine, when I'm in the page search engine, it also takes me to the same button panel. So let me see what happens if I search for something here. I click on search, and we can see the buttons disappear. Why have they disappeared? Because the search page, the search engine result page, it's a copy of the home page. But when we created those buttons, our search engine was already created, so we didn't copy that configuration. So we have to make sure to configure it here too, or at least to import the configuration. So this space here, it's called button panel home. I'm going to make sure it's configured in the search engine page exactly the same as in the demo home page. So we can actually do two different things. We can just select the same content. In this case, it's quite easy. Or we could click import configuration and do the same thing we did before when we were creating a new page. Basically, we're copying an existing configuration. But anyways, I'm just going to select the same button panel that's called demo button panel. I'm going to select it here. So I'll click here on button panel. I'll click here. And now I'm going to select this button panel. Now we have the same button panel in both places. We have it in the page of the search engine and in the home page. Okay, let's click on preview to see the result. So now I can see the button panel here. But when I click on search, I can also see the button panel here. This is exactly what I wanted. Now, what I'm missing is to create two pages for these two buttons. So I'm going to the button panel, to its configuration. And basically we want to add a link here. We want it to take us to the animation page. And here we want to click on it and we want it to take us to another page, an action page. So I'm going to create these two pages first. I'll go to pages. I'll click on copy existing because I don't want to create them from scratch. And I'll copy the home page. Once I've copied it, all I'm going to do is change the name. So I'm going to call it home animation. I'm going to save. And I'm going to the layout view and I'm only going to change the element list. So I'm not going to create it from scratch either. I'm going to copy this one. So this was called demo element list. I'm going to click here. I'm going to copy and I'm going to select demo element list. Now, once I've copied it, I'm going to call it demo element list. And I'm going to say this is animation. So demo element list animation. This is a new list, but still it has the same copied text here. So I'm going to change it to animation. So for now, all I'm going to do is this. Select it here in this new page I just created. So I've created a new page. I went to element list and I created a new element list based on a previous page and a previous element list that I already had created. So basically I've copied everything. I didn't need to reconfigure absolutely anything. Okay, so we've already finished this new page. We have to make sure the page is published. I'm going to save and exit, and I'm going to go back to the demo homepage. Now, I'm going to the editing view, better yet, to the layout view, and I'm going to the button panel. I'm going to configure the button. I want the animation button to take me to the new page I just created. So I'm going to click here on page. I'm going to select the page home animation. Now we've linked this page to this button. I'm going to save and exit. And now we're going to see the result. I'm going to click here on preview. Let me close this tab here. Okay, so when I click on animation, it's going to take me to the page animation, the one I just copied. So I click on animation and it takes me here. It says home animation, but we're still missing one more thing. In the animation page, I only want animation pages to appear, or cartoon pages to appear. Sorry, cartoon movies. So I'm going to go back to the configuration of this page, of animation page. And I'm going to change the prefilter. So I'm going to the list. And here where it says profile, I'm going to change it to a profile that has a condition where only certain, well here, only cartoons. So I think this one will work. Or better yet, this one here that's called animation. Okay, I'll save and exit. Now here we can see the result. So here we can see in the animation page, we're only seeing cartoons. if I go back to the home page, we can see all the different movies. Okay, so our home page, it's orange. We could even change this color here in the animation page so we can see it more clearly. Let me put this color here to be maybe green. Okay, so I'm in the home page. If I click on animation, it takes me to the animation page. And in the animation page, the only thing we've done is change this title and change the profile so that not all the movies are displayed, only the animation movies are displayed. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to repeat the steps another time, and we're going to link the action button to a list of action movies. So the first thing we want to do is copy one of these pages. For example, this one is called animation. I'm going to copy the page. I'm going to change its name. We're going to say here, it's going to be called action. Now, once we've changed the name of the page, I'm going to change the element list. So instead of having this list here, we're going to click. We're going to say we want to copy an existing element list. We're going to select this one, for example. And now we have it copied. Once we have it copied, we can start modifying it. So first of all, I'm going to modify its name to action. And I'm also going to modify the profile. I'm just going to select fiction because I don't have any that's called action. Okay, and then in the title, I'm going to have to add here action. I'll save and exit. And now here I'm going to select the new page I just created. That's called action. So my new page that I just created is going to be linked to this new element list that I just copied. And besides, I'm going to change the color here so we know when we're jumping from one place to another one. Okay, let's go back to the preview page. So we're in the home page where we can see all the movies. If I click on animation, it takes me to the list or to the page where we can see all the animation movies. And if I click on action, apparently I haven't configured this yet. Okay, I did create the page, but I didn't link it to this button. So I'm going to have to go back and link it. I'll click here. I'll go to the button panel configuration. And where it says action, I'll link it to the new page I just created. There we go. Okay, now it should be working. Let me update. Okay, we're in the home page where we can see all the movies. If I click on animation, it takes me to the animation movies. Now, I'm going to the other button. This says action. I'll click on it and it takes me to the action movies. Now I can always jump around from one to another one because they all have the same button panel. I go to animation, it shows me the animation movies. I go to action, it shows me the action movies. Exercise 404, part 14 and 15.